NFL thought they were the only ones allowed to do business with Saudi Arabia. They were wrong. Breaking news this morning. Shedeur Sanders just pulled off the biggest financial heist in sports history. While Roger Goodell was trying to negotiate a league-wide deal with the Public Investment Fund, Shedeur Sanders beat him to the punch. He just announced a $50 million partnership to become the global face of football for the PIF. He didn't break a single rule. He just used the prime equity loophole in his contract to legally steal the investment before the owners could touch it. The owners are absolutely furious. I have a report on the emergency conference call led by Jerry Jones this morning, where they discussed banning these types of deals forever. Subscribe and hit the bell right now. If you want to know what Jerry Jones said about Shedeur, click that button. Let's join the call. Here is how Shedeur Sanders outsmarted 32 billionaires in one day.
I'm only going to bring this up because I saw Shiloh brought this up. But he talked about like the 40 M's.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time we used to, there was a time when I used to send you whips. We talk about whips.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming that top 3 pick would happen.
Yeah.
And it didn't.
Yeah.
How much did you learn about, I guess, just yourself and then the financial situation when you miss out on, tens of millions of dollars?
The reality of the situation is far more calculated than a simple scouting report. There's a narrative being pushed that Shedeur needed the league to validate him, that the 5th round was a reality check for the Sanders family. But when you look at the numbers, it's clear who actually has the leverage. We're talking about a kid who entered the professional ranks with a Nike deal, a Gatorade partnership, and an NIL portfolio that was stacking higher than most veteran contracts. When he finally sat down for his birthday to address the elephant in the room, that missing $40 million, his response was a masterclass in how to win outside a system that's designed to break you. While the media in Cleveland is still trying to figure out if Deshaun Watson is even interested in playing football anymore, Shedeur has already proven he doesn't need their validation or their money. He's playing a completely different game. To understand how we got here, you have to look at the Shedeur method. It's a simple philosophy. Seize the moment, package it, and then multiply it. He's been in the spotlight since he was a child, watching his father, Deion Sanders, navigate the shark-infested waters of professional sports. He learned early on that if you don't control your story, someone else will write it for you. And they'll usually write it to benefit themselves. That's exactly what happened during the draft. The league tried to frame his fall as a character issue, or a humbling moment. But the private celebration at his family's estate in Canton, Texas, told a different story. While other rookies were sitting in green rooms looking like they'd just seen a ghost, Shedeur was hosting fireworks and private productions. He wasn't waiting for a phone call to tell him he was worthy. He was celebrating the fact that he'd already built an empire on his own terms. The media keeps trying to make this about what he lost, but they should be talking about what he exposed. Falling in the draft didn't break Shedeur. It exposed a system that is terrified of players who don't need the league's permission to be wealthy. Think about it.
Congratulations to Shedeur Sanders turning that big 2-4 and everything going on in there, man. Let's get into a little bit more of what he had to say about losing $40 million by getting drafted to the 5th round.
I saw Shiloh brought this up. He talked about like the 40 M's.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time we used to, there was a time when I used to send you whips. We talk about whips.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming that top 3 pick.
He was a $5 million walking business before he ever took a snap in the NFL. For the first 2 years of his professional life, he was likely pulling in more cash from endorsements than the guys who were already starting in the league. This is the part that makes the old school executives uncomfortable. When a player shows up to the facility in an F8 Ferrari, not a standard 488, but an F8, before the biggest rappers in the world even have them in their music videos, the power dynamic shifts. You can't threaten a man with a fine or a contract dispute when he's already got a Rolls Royce, a black badge Maybach, and a Cybertruck sitting in the driveway. But the real truth started to surface during his final interview before the Super Bowl. He sat down with Steiny, a guy who actually knows him. rather than one of those corporate media talking heads who are just looking for a clickbait headline. In that conversation, the mask finally slipped. We didn't get the usual media-trained robotic answers. We got real talk about how the media twists narratives, and what it's actually like to be targeted by a league that wants you to fall. Shedeur pointed out something that most people missed. If you've been living a life where your decisions aren't dictated by your next paycheck, then losing a draft bonus doesn't change your reality. He called the $40 million loss jokes because his lifestyle didn't move an inch. Most guys would be bitter, talking about conspiracies and disrespect, but he was just thankful he'd built a brand that made the NFL's attempt to humble him irrelevant. This brings us to the mess currently unfolding in Cleveland. The local media is still trying to sell the fans on the idea that Deshaun Watson is a factor in the quarterback competition. It's almost laughable. We're talking about a guy who's getting paid $40 million a year to basically do nothing, showing up to events dressed like a movie character, looking like he couldn't care less about the team's success, while Watson is living off his guaranteed money.
Oh, this was him yesterday. You guys don't know, yesterday was his birthday. So he's back in Canton, Texas. Canton, I hope I said that right. And he showed us a little bit of what he was doing yesterday. So this is him at home. You know, we all should remember the tent. You know, but this is a different tent. And as big as the one from the NFL draft, but it is another tent. Now, what probably went down at this tent was very private. I didn't see a bunch of stuff online.
Shedeur is the one showing up, putting in the work, and trying to earn respect in a city that seems determined to doubt him. The Cleveland media wants to manufacture this tension and competition, but they're ignoring the obvious. The biggest story should be the team rallying around a young quarterback who has already proven he can handle more pressure than anyone else in that locker room. The internal chaos in the Browns organization only makes the situation more toxic. With the defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz resigning and the coaching staff in a state of flux, the optics are terrible. It looks like a house of cards waiting to fall. There are whispers that the head coach, Todd Monken, is facing insecurity issues, wanting everyone to bow down to his vision, while the organization crumbles from within. In an environment like that, a rookie is usually the first one to get sacrificed. But again, Shedeur isn't your typical rookie. He isn't letting the internal politics or the media's fake narratives dictate his story. He's writing his own script, and that script doesn't involve being a pawn in Cleveland's front office games. What we're seeing is a total shift in how athletes handle their careers. The NIL era didn't just give kids a bit of pocket money. It gave them the ability to build generational wealth and massive influence before they ever step foot on a professional field. Shedeur Sanders is the blueprint for this new world. That Nike deal? That's generational wealth. That Gatorade partnership? That's the kind of endorsement that ensures he never has to beg a GM for a contract extension. He's proven that you can go into a draft, get robbed of $40 million, and still come out on top because you own your brand. The NFL doesn't want to admit that they're losing control, but the facts are right there in the parking lot and on the balance sheet. The birthday celebration in Canton was the ultimate exclamation point on this entire saga. It was private, it was high-end, and it was entirely on his terms. He didn't need a national broadcast to celebrate his life or his career. He has his own platform, his own YouTube channel, and his own direct line to his fans. He doesn't need ESPN or Fox Sports to tell the world he's a star. He just has to hit upload. That's the kind of power that keeps league executives awake at night. When you can bypass the traditional gatekeepers and tell your own truth, the humbling tactics of the draft don't work anymore. So, as we watch this season unfold, don't pay attention to the manufactured drama in the Cleveland headlines. Don't listen to the analysts who want to talk about draft value and rookie mistakes. Look at the bigger picture. Shedeur Sanders has already won the most important battle. He secured his independence. He proved that the league needs him more than he needs them. The NFL tried to send a message by letting him fall, but the only message that got through was that Shedeur is untouchable. He's building a legacy that isn't dependent on a coach's approval or a scout's grade. He's doing it his way. One deal and one victory at a time. This leaves us with a question that the NFL isn't ready to answer yet. Is the league prepared for a future where the players have more leverage than the owners? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like the old system is dying, and Shedeur Sanders is the one who pulled the plug. Cleveland has a choice to make. They can keep pretending that the old way of doing things is working, or they can get behind the kid, who's already proven he's bigger than the system. The draft fall was supposed to be his low point, but instead, it became the moment the world realized he didn't need the $40 million to be the most powerful man in the room. What do you think? Was the NFL deliberately trying to sabotage Shedeur's career to keep the power in the hands of the owners? Do you think the Browns are making a massive mistake by entertaining the Deshaun Watson narrative, while they have a generational talent waiting in the wings? And, most importantly, is the era of the humble rookie officially over? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because this is a conversation the mainstream media is too afraid to have. If you want to see more deep dives into the stories the league tries to hide, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications. The truth is coming out, and you don't want to miss what happens next.